I was so nervous, but it all worked out and I had an amazing time. Fast forward to 2019, we got engaged and I submitted for a fiancé visa. Later that year, his visa was approved and he joined me in the US. Since then, we have gotten married and are currently in the green card process. I run a pretty successful business, so it was easy for me to hire my husband. Because we spend so much time together and almost never argue, I felt like I really found a gem. 2 months ago, I noticed that something in the financials of my business were off.
I've lived with someone before, so I had those experiences. He had never lived with someone. He didn't really ever have like a long-term relationship. He's dated women in college and had dates, but he did not have that, right? In Nigerian culture, you can live with your parents for as long as you need to.
So you're married to a Nigerian and you're wondering, how much will it cost for me to bring my Nigerian spouse over here to the United States? No worries, I got you.
I need advice. I'm American, but my husband is Nigerian. We met on Facebook in 2015. Met on Facebook. Facebook Jam. You know what? This was in 2015. Not bad was said. Let's keep going. In 2016, after talking almost every day for a year, I made plans to travel to Lagos to meet him in person for the first time. Me, you're brave. You're very, very brave. Like, to go somewhere where you didn't know nobody by yourself. Yo, join them. Man, ain't no way. Them for best. By myself. How motherfucking? What if something happens to me? You know what? I digress. We just started. Let's keep going. I was so nervous, but it all worked out and I had an amazing time. Fast forward to 2019, we got engaged and I submitted for a fiancé visa. Later that year, his visa was approved and he joined me in the US. Since then, we have gotten married and are currently in the green card process. I run a pretty successful business, so it was easy for me to hire my husband. Because we spend so much time together and almost never argue, I felt like I really found a gem. 2 months ago, I noticed that something in the financials of my business were off. So I hired someone to review the accounting for the last 2 years. Come to find out, my husband has been moving small amounts of money over to a private account, a little bit every other week. Once I found this out, I hired a private investigator to look into my husband because maybe this was just an isolated incident. Drapo rouge. I'm getting it's going because it's like you're not trusting your gut. And man, let's finish up. The investigator came back and let me know that my husband was seeing another woman. And while he did not have any proof of the nature of their relationship because they were always very careful, he did clock that they met regularly on Wednesdays at a hotel downtown. He learned that this woman is Nigerian as well. Now, there's no record of her having a job, working in any way, shape, or form, but she lives in a pretty affluent area. So that has me wondering if my husband is financing her life with the money that he's taking out the business. I know I can't confront my husband because he has a temper. There could also be a logical explanation for everything and I'm just reaching. I just don't know what to think or what to do anymore. Any advice? I don't want to say it. Man, it has to be said. Paska, I feel like because you have invested so much into this person and because you genuinely care about him, you don't want to see what's right in front of you. I'm not admitting it, like I know it hurts, but it's like you gotta either see it now or really pay for the consequences later. Paska y'all gets the drapeau rouge, like the red flags, they come in hardcore. It's so many of them, they've stacked together and have become a red brick wall. Now it's up to you how you navigate this red brick wall. Like, are you gonna keep smashing right into it, right? Because that's only pain for you. Or are you gonna find ways around it? Are you gonna find a way to dismantle the wall, to move forward? Like, you have to think about what's in your best interest, and your gut is not lying to you. Now, I do agree that there are a lot of holes in the situation. You do need to plug them to get a full holistic picture of what's actually going on. You have the high level overview. So you have all the nyama, like the nut, the meat of it all. So it's like you just want to go ahead and fill in those things, but you know what it is. And so it's like at this point you have to prioritize your well-being, you have to prioritize your mental health. And it's like you're already saying that you can't confront him because he has a temper. So that already tells us, at least tells me, maybe that's something that you've seen in the past. And so you also want to make sure, like you said, like that you're treading lightly, because your safety needs to be your number one concern in the situation. Man, it's like you also have to figure out an exit strategy. Like that, to me, that's the only logical next step, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments.
Let's talk about some of the challenges I end up experiencing. You definitely should expect challenges after you met somebody online and you get married after 3 months. There's going to be a boatload of challenges, and we've had our share of challenges. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. For me, prior to getting married, I was single, had my own place. I had been in a long-term relationship before. I've lived with someone before, so I had those experiences. He had never lived with someone. He didn't really ever have like a long-term relationship. He's dated women in college and had dates, but he did not have that, right? In Nigerian culture, you can live with your parents for as long as you need to, after college. So he lived with his parents until he started to get his career off the ground while he was in Nigeria. So he ended up getting a job and all that, but he still lived with his parents, right? Which I think is a good thing. If you're allowed to do that, I think we should do that more. But when we came together after getting married, there was challenge as far as unrealistic expectations. And I think a lot of that did come from how we were raised, how our household looked as we were growing up. He came from a traditional family. I came from a traditional family, but the dynamic of the relationship with both of our parents were a lot different, right? His mom, his dad, like I said before, was the provider, very traditional. Mom didn't work, very low key, kind of very submissive to the dad, where my mom was a little bit different. She didn't have this like huge career or anything, but she was very independent, right? She didn't work, but she was very independent, stood up to my dad a lot when there was things he didn't like or didn't say. My dad was very outspoken. And so the relationship dynamic in each household was a little bit different, right? So my expectation was, as an example, my mom would say to my dad, coming after going grocery shopping, she would come in and she would just have her purse and she would sit it on the table and she would tell my dad, hey, I got some groceries in the car. I need you to go get them. And my dad would get up and go get the groceries. So that was an expectation that I had. So when I got married, I would go grocery shopping. I would come in with my bag. I would sit it on the counter and I would tell my husband, hey, I got some groceries in the car. I need you to bring them in. My husband would look at me and say, who are you talking to? I'm not your kid. Don't talk to me like that. And I'm like, wait, you need to go get the groceries. I don't have to do anything. And it wasn't that he didn't want to get the groceries. It was the delivery. It was from what I learned, right? When he would tell me, this food is too salty. It was nasty. I would get offended. Like, what are you talking about? My food is nasty. I had no one ever critique me and tell me anything I cooked was nasty or didn't taste well. His delivery, I didn't like it. And he would say, well, why are you so offended? I wasn't offended. I was offended in the delivery and just the overall forwardness. I just was not used to it. So things like that, I can remember, and we laugh about it today. I used to tell him, take out the garbage. And I would leave the garbage by the door and I would go to work. I would come home and that garbage would still be sitting there. And he would look at me, I'm not your kid. You don't talk to me like that. I'm a man. I'm a man. Like I don't have to tell him to take out the garbage. He knows the garbage needs to be taken out. So those are some of the little quirky challenges that we went through, communications and kind of unrealistic expectations as it relates to the husband-wife dynamic. I think that got better when we realized that I can't change you and you can't change me. We both have to make the decision to change ourselves and evaluate, what am I doing that I could be better at to make sure that my husband's happy? What can well, not happy, but add to his happiness? What can him as a husband do to add to my wife's happiness, right? What is going to satisfy her? How do I need to change? And I think we both came to that conclusion, right? And things started to change and, we started to do things a little differently, our communication styles. But child, let me tell you, the first 2 years, was something else. I mean, that was a lot of arguing, a lot of going back and forth. But I can tell you one thing he never said. He never talked about divorce. He never talked about leaving. He's never left the house. You know, I have. I'm going to be honest. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm done with you. I can't do this. He never has, though. He has never once said, I'm leaving you. I can't take this. None of that has always stayed. So over the years, it's about the work you put in, right? And what you're willing to work to make sure that the marriage grows. We both, even though we were having our experiences and our challenges, we both knew deep down in our hearts that there was more to this, that this was long term. This was not a short-term thing. This was long-term. And when we had our children and start having kids, you know, that adds a whole nother layer. But definitely there were some challenges.
Okay, boom, I'm back. When you arrive here, I want you to remember that you were blessed by, I would say, God, Jesus, the universe, whatever you believe in. I believe in Jesus, by the way, and I prayed very hard for my husband to meet him and for him to arrive, and things have been very blessed in that manner. So you were blessed, let's just say, handpicked out of millions of people to get the blessing to connect with the spouse who loves you very much, no matter what the circumstances are that you arrive into, whether that's children, a little less money, not your favorite environment, not your closest to other Nigerian people. There might be less Nigerian people. You might have wanted a bigger city. You might have not wanted a place where it's more of a farmland. You know, it might be boring. It might not, maybe the children are a little, something extra that you got to do. Maybe the job opportunities aren't exactly what you thought maybe it would be. It's a little bit harder. The bills pile up more than you thought they would, and you didn't know until you got here. But let's just remember that you were hand selected in a blessing by an opportunity for you to come to the land of opportunity in the circumstance and situation that you were blessed to be into. And I can bet you your spouse loves you very much. And I can just give you an encouragement that whatever you want to do or whatever you were hoping to see or do, it is still tangible. You can still go get it. You just have to work in a focused manner. We're not stewing our mind and our energy on things that we can't or wish we had at that very moment, because that would be being ungrateful for the blessing that you got handpicked in the first place. Secondly, focus on what it is that you want. It is tangible. You can go get it. Just make the steps. Ask your spouse to help guide you on whatever it is, and just go get it step by step. Just like it was step by step for you to get here, it's step by step for each little thing or big thing that you want. And it may take a little longer than you expected, but you can get it. And you can get that license, you can get that job, you can get that environment, you can get those Nigerian friends nearby. You just have to go.
So you're married to a Nigerian and you're wondering, how much will it cost for me to bring my Nigerian spouse over here to the United States? No worries, I got you. I'm going to break those fees down for you in this video. So make sure you go ahead and save this video and watch it all the way to the end. Step 1, you need to file a Form I-130 with the USCIS. This step is going to cost you $675, okay? Step 2, once your Form I-130 has been approved by the USCIS, they will then forward your application over to the National Visa Center. This step in the process is going to cost you $445. Once the National Visa Center has completed your case and they're now ready to forward it over to the embassy or consulate, your spouse is going to be required to conduct an immigrant medical examination. This step in the process is going to cost anywhere between $200 to $500. All right. Once your spouse has completed all the required steps and they have gone for their interview and now they're ready to enter the United States, there is an additional $235 immigrant processing fee for the production of their permanent resident card, also known as the green card. So basically, the total process can cost you anywhere between $1,555 to $1,855. Keep in mind, this does not include any plane tickets or any travel arrangements or anything like that. This is strictly just the admin fees. So there you have it, guys. If you're an LDR couple and you're not yet following us, what are you waiting for? Make sure you engage from the bottom up, and we'll see you in the next video.